Well, yesterday we caught up with a known housing bear, Melody Wright. We had a wonderful conversation. I will summarize kind of my takeaways, but based on the comments, some of you are very upset. So let me explain again why I've invited Melody Wright on my channel, usually twice a year. First and foremost, she has a set of experience that I do not have. Right? She was in the mortgage servicing business. She has access to some data that I simply don't have. And, she is willing to talk with someone who doesn't agree with her. Also, we have been talking for so long now, we have her forecasts on record, and we can make our own judgments from there. I want to be clear. I like hearing from the other side. I like potentially exposing my blind spots. I also like discussing with the other side, and sometimes I become more convinced on my arguments when I feel their counters are off or weak. Again, I thought yesterday's conversation was pretty interesting. I'll start off with right in the beginning. Earlier in the year, I think beginning of the year, she called for a negative 5% home price growth. And I was fairly convinced that she would give that up, but no. She thought that the data would be revised and that we still could see a negative 5% drop in 2024. I don't see it, but again, we have her call on record. When I really summarize the meat of her call for 2025, it is, her words, not mine, a bloodbath, nasty. She sees a lot of stress building in the system, whether it's from fraud or Airbnb or Helene. As I kind of discussed in the video, I don't see it. I do not see banks and financial institutions acting like they did last time, and that even if there was some breaking, it just wouldn't be 2025. Her call was for motivated sellers to come out of the woodwork. Again, I don't see it. We both did agree on a couple of things. We both thought rates would be about where they are today for much of the year. We also, interestingly, right at the end of the conversation, this was kind of fun for me. I just had a thought experiment at the very end of the conversation, probably the last 5 minutes or so, talking about what it would take or what would happen if rates fell precipitously, right? Let's say they fell to 4.5 or 4 or something like that. And it was interesting to see that we both thought the housing market would be, the move-up buyer would be back. And again, based on how the median home prices are calculated, if you get a sudden and wicked movement in first-time home buyer sales, we could actually see median home prices fall. We could see transactions up, prices down. Now, again, this is because of how median is calculated. And again, this is something I was trolled on. I was flambéed, whatever you want to call it, when I tried to help people understand why a transaction crash would lead to median home prices going up. And let's be clear, we got it right. We were right. They were wrong. And that was just basically about the low end stopping the transactions, right? If you stop selling, the low end, it's just math, people. The median home price goes up. You can get mad at me all you want. It doesn't make you right. It just makes you an idiot, right? Because math is math. So that was interesting. And then the last thing Melody highlighted in that discussion is the damage of Helene, right? It is right in her backyard. I think she's on the east coast of Tennessee, right on the North Carolina border. Hopefully I had that right. And there's a lot of people in need in that area. So if you go and watch the video, I've stripped out all of the show notes. She sent me a list of some charities or whatnots. So those are in the video. So again, I'm not sure why so many of you are angry and upset and with me. I guess I get it. But yeah, I mean, that's why I do it. I want to occasionally hear from the other side. I want to see if I'm missing anything. and I want to bounce my arguments off them and see how they land. So I'm going to continue to talk to her once every six months or so. I'm going to hold her to her calls, and we're going to see if they were right or they were wrong. No escaping, these calls. So, yeah, I'm not sure why some of you are so angry, but there we go. All right, let's talk about what is going on. The big economic report of the morning was the small business survey. Basically, what can I say about it other than the Trump pump is real? The small business optimism survey came in at 101.7, highest since highest in 34 months and above the 50-year average of 98. Again, the small business optimism survey was a huge move, 8 points inside of a month across all sectors. Increase in employment, +3. They're going to increase capital outlays, +6. Increase inventories, +3. These are all economic tailwinds, right? We're going to hire more. We're going to invest more. We are going to spend more. This is the backbone of the U.S. economy, small businesses. Expect the economy to improve, +41. That's hard to do, right? +41. Expect sales to grow, +18. And lastly, now is a good time to expand, +8. Again, folks, if small businesses are thinking this way, what do you think medium-sized and large corporations are? What has been called the Trump pump certainly seems real. Deregulation, tax cuts. It's going to get interesting. On top of that, we had a New York Fed survey that I thought was interesting. Again, these New York Fed surveys go out monthly. This one, again, post-election. A record for the past 12 months, 37.6% of folks thought their finances would be better off in a year, right? 12 months than they are today. It was up 8% in a month. Again, the optimism is certainly occurring. On the other end, let's talk about the people that thought their economies would be worse in 12 months. That came in at a total of 20.7, down 2%. So again, some interesting stuff going on with, again, consumers. What do consumers truly thinking? And again, most of them think their personal economies will be better in 12 months. We did get Oracle's earnings yesterday. They were no bueno. They were not good. And they missed earnings, they missed revenue, and had a weak forecast. Again, not a particularly good quarterly report. I do want to thank two people for joining school yesterday. I want to shout out Andrew and Jeff. Thank you for being a part of our school community. Please introduce yourself. Please comment on a few posts so you can get to level 2 and level 3 and unlock all of those extra goodies that you have at your disposal. It looks like 93% of economists surveyed expect the Fed to cut 25 basis points next week. 56% of them think we're going sub 4 next year. And these are all on Fed rate cuts and the like. Yardeni Research out with a pretty interesting piece, and actually one I agree with completely. And I think I've said all of these words on this channel. What do they think the Fed's going to do? They think the Fed is going to cut 25 and then be very, very hawkish. We've said those words on this channel many times in the last week. Then Yardeni Research says, but this is what the Fed should do. Again, I love it. I love this just honest assessment. This is what I think they're going to do. This is what I think they should do. Yardeni Research says the Fed should simply pause and wait and see how the economy reacts to the 75 basis points in cuts already delivered, right? Remember, lagging impacts we've talked about. And we have a new administration starting up in about 6 weeks. Why don't we wait and see what happens? Keep that rate cut in your back pocket. You can always use it in February or March or April. You do not need to use it now. That is what Yardeni research is saying. Looks like JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and 9 other Wall Street firms are out with their calls for the S&P. And wow, they are calling for another banner year, another record year. Wells Fargo out with the top call, 7,007. I got to respect the odd number. It's not 7,000. It's 7,007. That's what Wells Fargo sees for a high of S&P in S&P in 2025. Goldman and JP Morgan, not quite as rosy. Also, frankly, kind of lazy. They just both of them picked 6,500. Folks, I don't know. I know, the chances of it being 6,500, that's just lazy. I don't like lazy numbers. Why don't you be like Wells Fargo and slap an odd number instead of, 2 zeros? Come on, Goldman and JP Morgan. You're better than that. At least you should be better than that. All right, folks, don't forget to buy your tickets to our Vegas event. You're going to get a big treat today at 10 a.m. The one and only Lisa Song Sutton is going to be on talking about what her talk track is going to be. She's going to talk about how she went from being a corporate lawyer and getting all of that education and taking a right turn to be an entrepreneur, initially starting with alcohol-infused cupcakes. Yes, I said it. It is Vegas after all. Alcohol-infused cupcakes. She then went on to start Ship Las Vegas. So again, you'll have the opportunity to interview her and interact with her at the event. You're going to get a taste of just how wonderful she is at 10 a.m. today. So buy your tickets. Lots of great speakers coming. You've got to get the tickets. It will sell out, and I don't want you to miss it. Take care. Have a wonderful day. I'm sorry if I upset you by interviewing Melody. Not my intention, but hopefully you understand why I do it. Take care. Later.